I have been playing Destiny since 2014. I didn't full time the game, but I definitely played a lot more than anything else. It was so fascinating to me. I just came off the heels of Halo Reach, and I was in love with that game too. I was in love with all the Halos, and I was very young at the time. I was going into middle school. I didn't have many friends aside from family, and it was very scary. And I remember my cousin telling me about how you can throw a spirit bomb. And he was talking about the Warlock's Nova Bomb, and he said you can also use guns like Halo, and it was so fascinating to me. I was immediately pulled in. I was like, "What's the game called?" He said, "It's called Destiny," and it was made by the people who made Halo. I was sucked in right away. I went home, convinced my mom to buy me the 360 version. I ended up getting the Xbox One version later, but I remember logging on and seeing the three classes, and I chose Warlock. Get off my case, alright? I chose Warlock first, and I think I went to Hunter for a little bit, but I mainly played Warlock. And I remember being so confused by the game. I had never played anything with its depth. And I know base D1 wasn't really, very deep, especially for casual players. It was just like strikes, and even then strikes were like terrifying for me because I just didn't know how to play the game. And I remember slowly becoming more accustomed with it, and then I want to say I stopped playing right before the first DLC came out. Not Taken King, but The Dark Below. And I didn't come back until right before The Taken King was about to come out. Because I remember my cousin was playing it again, and we could get on a friend from school who also played Destiny. I was on and off with Halo, Warframe, and Destiny at the time. And I remember all of us getting together, and instead of continuing on my Warlock, I made a Titan. Because I was like, you know what, maybe I'm not really feeling the game because I just want to be more centered with where I came from, which is Halo, and I feel like Titans were a little bit closer to that. And I never left Titan. To this day, I am still a Titan main. I've definitely played with the other classes, but Titan's just irreplaceable for me. And I remember going to play Prison of Elders and getting the No Land Beyond as my first exotic, and thinking it was cool as hell, and then realizing it was not that cool because it was horrible. And of course I was a huge PvP player. I tried playing PvP a lot, but Destiny's PvP was one of those things not that I wasn't very big into it, I just wasn't very good at it. I wasn't very good at PvP. And then the Taken King came out, and I remember it started there, and I sunk in, and it was playing every day that I could. I got home from school, logging on, trying to learn more that I could. I remember unlocking Sunbreaker for the first time and thinking it was like one of the coolest things ever. And it was just amazing. There was nothing like it. And I still firmly believe there is no game quite like Destiny throughout its ups and downs. And I remember playing it a lot, and then of course there was a little dry gap, and then the April update came out. That was amazing. Rise of Iron was amazing. I think Rise of Iron is where I really sunk in. I remember getting Outbreak Prime. Oh my god, what a journey. Looking up Dado's videos, looking up everything I could to get this cool nanite gun. I remember the Young Wolf's Howl being one of my favorite weapons. And I was getting to know some more people at school through Destiny. And I remember going into Destiny 2 with a bunch of my friends and being very disappointed, to say the least. I think I had like 5 people playing the game, 6 people playing, and it came down to just me and another friend because everybody else left. Base Destiny 2 is awful, to be honest with you. One of the worst gaming downgrades of all time. And that's it's not really any offense to Bungie. There was a lot of people complaining, special ammo, all that stuff. and then Warmind came out, and getting some of my friends back. Cause I remember Escalation Protocol being extremely fun. Nobody really cared about the base D2 campaign. I think Gaul was one of those villains that just wasn't developed enough. And of course, I remember the pyramid ships, seeing those and be like, oh, I can't wait to actually fight those. And it was always the universe that kept bringing me back in. It was the universe, and then the gameplay always felt pretty good. Warmind was feeling really good. I remember getting the Aikilos shotgun. I remember how hyped that was. And then Forsaken came out and changed everything. Forsaken was when I was like, okay, I really want to like play this game a lot more. And I started getting a lot more into it. I played Black Armory. I remember how hard the forges were on release. And I still remember me and my buddies really just trying to go at it, just trying to finish a forge. And then, oh my god, Scourge of the Past. I remember a bunch of my friends being over at my house and it came out. And I couldn't even play the raid. I just wanted to be like, okay, let's go explore. And being a city, and give me flashbacks to like New Mombasa from ODST. And I remember it was just so fun. Yeah, I remember doing the raid 2, one of the best raids I've ever experienced. And I remember getting Anarchy. I think the second try, the whole raid group was mad at me, but I remember just thinking it was kind of a stupid trap gun, and then, of course I learned how OP it was. I remember all the cheese lobbies from Mountaintop. I remember getting everything for Lunas and Not Forgotten. I think I did I did Not Forgotten legit. Not Forgotten the Lunas, but I just didn't do Mountaintop legit. And then Season of Opulence. Oh, no. Season of the Joker came out. I remember I played a lot less that season. Because, Gambit. And I would eventually go back during Season of Arrivals, which is like a year or two from this point, and try and get the title too. I have Reckoner. Don't really recommend it. The little funny tag below your name is not worth the hours of time, but here I am. And I remember going into Opulence, and that's when I got a bunch of my friends back. And Season of Opulence is still one of the best times Destiny has ever had. And then Shadowkeep came out, and it was just like a nothing burger. And it was, honestly, Shadowkeep was only good for the people who liked the story. Because the quest itself, like what you had to do for the quest was kind of lame. Going back to the moon was alright. But by this point, we were like, we don't want to just go back to where we were. We wanted to explore new places. And Shadowkeep suffered a little bit. Definitely seemed, I remember that they kept the pyramid so hidden up to launch. And then we walked in, it was just, oh my. I remember being at school reacting to it on my phone and being like, oh my god, there's a pyramid ship inside the moon. And then they started really building up that darkness era, like, oh my god, these things are close. A lot closer than we ever imagined. Of course, the introduction of champions. Season of Dawn. Oh my god. Season of Dawn, Saint 14 coming back. I think that was really when I got super invested in the story. And it was so cool. This guy that you heard legends of, you actually were playing a part in bringing him back. Season of Dawn was amazing. The whole theme, that time of Destiny was really good. Season of the Worthy, right after, is like completely flipping it on its head and turned it into like a borderline mobile game. Log into your daily, go do this thing daily, get off. It was horrible. The story was so cool too, where you're working with Rasputin to stop the Almighty, right? From falling from which makes no fucking sense. The Almighty, like, falling all the way from the sun, passing everybody's gravitational orbit and landing directly on Earth? Sure, buddy. But it was... I remember that was, like, one of the first live events, too. Seeing the Almighty fall and it taking, like, a few hours. I was out of town on a family trip, and I had my Xbox plugged in, watching it like a maniac. And my family would come be like, are you okay? And see, I was looking at the same screen, but the shit moved like a few inches. And I was like, oh my god, yes, no, it's awesome. And I remember all that happening. And then what was Arrivals after Worthy? If it was, Arrivals was also one of the best times in Destiny. Arrivals was like, oh my god, like, what we've been... Or, I take that back. Worthy, the end, or like during Worthy, seeing the pyramid ships get closer was terrifying. And then seeing them get there in Arrivals was like, oh shit, this is like our Infinity War moment. Not really, right? Didn't end up being that, but the falling guillotine, the weapons that season were really fun. Wither Horde, it was the introduction to so many things. Also, the last time that we could use stuff like Mountaintop and Recluse until literally like 1 or 2 months ago. And oh my god, I remember Beyond Light coming out and seeing that stasis. We were getting a new element, and that was mind-boggling to me. I never like imagined. Everybody always imagined like just something, a new element. Everybody was hoping a new darkness subclass, and then we saw stasis, and that was like, oh my god, Beyond Light's gonna be like the best expansion ever. And then it wasn't. It in fact was fucking awful. But I mean that as in getting rid of all of sunsetting so much content, sunsetting so many things. And I don't think the expansion itself was that bad. I think it was the combined feeling of, oh, it was an okay expansion, combined with Stasis being so utterly OP compared to the other classes, and then having almost all of the content in the game removed was such a gut punch, and it felt awful. Season of the Hunt also just wasn't that good, and the only hyped part about it was, oh, Crow's coming back, or Uldren, right? Oh my god, that's crazy. We call him, just casually call him Crow now. I still remember vividly like trying to get in my head that he was Crow and not Uldren anymore. And I think his story's been done so well. I think Uldren becoming Crow, becoming this Guardian, is really cool. A really cool story. I think the story was one of those things in Beyond Light that was kind of, I think it was slightly better done. Bungie, it was a good like lore dump, but it wasn't a good story. They just didn't tell it that well. And I think during Witch Queen is when it got a lot better. But the seasons during Beyond Light were really good. Around this time, I had a lot of friends start falling off the game. And it was just like, just one of those things I had to deal with. And I remember going into Deepstone Crypts was such an amazing raid. The day one on Atrax, oh my god. What a pain in the ass. And then it was season, oh my god, the one with Kaido. That one was really, I remember around that time I had a surgery that I wasn't, it stopped me from playing the game for a little bit. And I remember I came back and school was getting a little rough. And I just wasn't like really in the good headspace at the time. But I kept playing, and around Season of the Splicers, school was getting really rough for me. And it was a very like rough patch for me. I thankfully had some really good friends who were helping me out. And Season of the Splicer ended up being a good turnaround for the game. And it just progressively got better. And then we had, Season of the Lost? Season only felt bad, I think, because it was really long. But... And then Witch Queen came out. And Witch Queen was one of the best campaigns I've ever played. Where I was sitting there after, I was like, oh my god, that story was really good. And I felt like it was the first time I could be a Destiny player confident in saying, hey, this story is good. And the seasons during Witch Queen were also pretty good. I don't remember there being a really bad one. I'm kind of summarizing it up a little more. As progressively as we go, I was playing the game more and more, and I think during Witch Queen was when I really started playing it like the most I ever did. I was really putting school off, and I believe I was already in college at this time, and I was just by myself in a room, just ignoring everyone, ignoring school, and just playing a lot of Destiny, and it really messed me up. I loved the game, and it required me to shift a lot of priorities to get like my life back in balance. But Destiny was one of those things that was always there, and I remember getting a bunch of new friends into the game, and then Lightfall came out, and Lightfall was such a bad feeling, such a bad taste in the mouth. When I know one of my buddies played Hunter, and Hunter was borderline unplayable with Strand, and it was just so hard to see. It was, well, how could you not tell the same level of story that you just told? Even the Rasputin stuff right before was so, like, oh my god, this guy that we've had since the beginning is sacrificing everything. Like, it was such a good story, and then you threw it. And I feel like over this past year, was Bungie really trying to earn people back, and then of course the layoffs happened, and it was really hard. It was really hard to, like, I specifically remember when the layoffs happened, I was full on thinking of just quitting the game. I believe I streamed Lightfall and a little bit before Lightfall. That was like I took a good little break after that, just for more mental health reasons. But man, I specifically remember Lightfall being very disappointing. And it wasn't the gameplay felt amazing, but it was a story. It felt so split. And I understand that Lightfall and Final Shape were meant to be the same thing, but oh my god, it felt horrible. Season of the Deep was such a cool idea, and the fishing was so like half-assed. And oh man, and it's so hard because I know the people over there at Bungie want to give us more, and they have been giving us more, thank God. And it just every time we want more, it takes the game almost dying for it to become like good again. But I came back right before Into the Light came out. Like, I want to say 1 or 2 weeks before. I pretty much, so after, at the end of Season of the Deep, I quit. Came back for a little bit of Season of the Witch, left again. Came back at the beginning of Season of the Wish, left again. And it was just like, I could feel this game's soul just like getting drained. And it was sad. It was so sad to see this game dying, and I know everybody was like realizing, oh my god, like we might hit the same numbers that it hit during Curse of Osiris and Warmind. But Into the Light, I think, really gave me a lot of faith back that these guys, these people over there do care. And they always have cared. I think it's just a lot of the higher ups not like, oh my god, it doesn't make us a $1 fucktillion. Let's not do it. I think, of course, if these guys had their own choice, they would make the best game they could, but it's not profitable if they just do that, which sucks. It sucks that is the bottom line, but it's a business at the end, so I understand. But Final Shape looks good. And 10 years later, I've lost some friends, I've gained some friends, but it's all been through Destiny. And I hope that this new year Destiny is amazing. I hope this is a new start for the game. If it's so weird. I mean, it's what, 11 years, right? It's about to be 11 years. My journey's been very, very... I think everyone's journey has been... I would love to hear everybody's journey in the comments. If you guys want to give like a short story, just give me your overall experience with Destiny. It's always been there for me. So, thank you, Bungie, for giving me one of the most important pieces of my life. And I hope I'm able to give some back with YouTube. So, thank you all. I hope you all have a blessed day. I'll see you all in Final Shape.